Hi there, my name is Becky Kang. I am a Latin tutor, among many things, and I'd like to show you today a little bit about how I teach. Presently, I'm using, oh, that might be backwards. I'm using Latin for Children, Primer A, and Latin for Children, Primer B. These are excellent curriculums produced by Classical Academic Press. Fabulous, systematic, sequential, very easy to teach for children to learn. They define, conjugate, they define decline. I love that. They present their vocabulary words with 4 principal parts, their verbs, 2 parts, the nominative and genitive with the noun, making it so easy, setting the child up for success. Let me show you, for example. Here's Latin for Children, Primer A. You have classical or ecclesiastical pronunciation, and in chapter 1, they give 4 principal parts of the verb. Why do I like that? Well, you're going to need all 4 principal parts at some point to recall their stems. So my thought is, why not teach them all at the very beginning? And the child can then recall that which they have put in, but instead of having to go back and relearn it. And then they give the meaning in English. So, amo, amare, amawi, amatum. I love to love, I loved, loved. Do, dare, dedidatum. I give to give, I gave, given. Intro, intrare, intravi, intratum. I entered to enter, I entered, entered. Laboro, laborare, laboravi, laboratum. I worked to work, I worked, worked. Narrow, narrare, narravi, narratum. I tell, to tell, I told. Told beautiful rhythms there. The children can easily recall that. And what I love what they do once in their vocabulary, they introduce the vocabulary. They've got some derivatives right here that really solidify the meaning in the child's head. For example, do. I'll go like, knock, knock, hello, hi. I'm from the Salvation Army. Do you have anything you'd like to donate? You know, we want you to give them something. So trying to make that connection immediately so that when you ask them what this word means, they can recall, donate, to give, you know. Same thing with intro. Welcome, hello, you know, introduction, introduce, labor, you know, narrow, narrate, the narrator, you know, and same thing with the nouns here. So the derivatives, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. One of the benefits of learning Latin, and it's right there in that chapter, in each chapter. In fact, I love that. You don't have to go searching; it's right there. Fabulous. Then our nouns. Our nouns, both pieces of information that we need. Aqua, aquae, water. Fabula, fabulae, story. Porta, portae, door or gate. Silva, silvae, forest or woods. And terra, terrae, land or earth. Notice I have colored my noun endings. I've colored my verb endings. I developed a color system. You know, there's a potential 100 endings to learn with nouns. That's a lot of nouns. And so that was overwhelming for me as a person, as a teacher. And so I said, how can I make this easier? I basically took the noun chart and I really prayed over it. And I said, Lord, help me, help. And he said, well, I want you to make the first kind of nouns, make them feminine. Their gender's feminine anyways. Make them feminine, make them pink. Not make them feminine, they are feminine, make them pink. So I did, right? And then for the second declension, their gender is mostly masculine. It is masculine, so I color those blue. And for second neuter, obviously I can't say, oh, look at the white one, right? Because we're on white paper, so I made them yellow, okay? And now what I've done is I'm teaching children to look at stems, and endings, stems and endings, stems and endings, because Latin is all about stems and endings. It's all about stems and endings. And so I'm training their eye to separate the stem from the ending. The ending for a verb tells you four things. It tells you what conjugation we're in, meaning we have four different kinds of verbs. A conjugation is a kind. The first kind ends in ARE. You find that ARE in the second principal part right here, which is called the infinitive. The second kind of verb ends in long ERE, and this is called the second conjugation. And again, this ending is identified in the second principal part called the infinitive. Then there's a third kind of verb called a third conjugation. These are highly irregular. They end in short ERE. And last but not least, the fourth conjugation ends in IRE. And again, this second principal part is where we go to identify what conjugation is that verb? What conjugation is it? And you can say, well, really, who cares? Why ask the question? Well, that's a good question, because these third and fourth conjugation verbs, these kinds of verbs, they're highly irregular. They are not these normal endings. They're different. And so you immediately have to tell your brain, oops, different, and adjust, right? We want the right answer, right? So that's the first question. The second one is person. What person? Are we in a first person, second person, third person? Okay. And then what number? Is it singular or is it plural? And then last but not least, what tense are we in? Are we in present, imperfect? Are we in the future? And so those four questions are asked for each verb. I train children to think in those pieces of information, to gather those pieces of information for a verb. And then for the noun, I train them to gather these information. Declension. What noun group are we talking about? Are we talking about the first declension that ends in AE, A and AE? Are we talking about the second one that ends in I? Are we talking about the third one that ends in IS? Are we talking about the fourth one that ends in US? Or are we talking about the fifth one that ends in EI? Notice I went to the second column here. It's the genitive. Okay, so that's how you identify the declension. Then there's the gender. Is it feminine, masculine, or neuter? We need this piece of information. When you memorize a word, you're not only memorizing the nominative and the genitive, the meaning in English, but you're memorizing the gender. You need to know this piece of information, especially when we have an adjective. I'm not going to go back and learn the gender. I'm going to learn it all at one time. And then we need to know the number. The ending tells us the number. Are we in the singular column or the plural column? And then the case. Case is a job. A job. Are we talking about? We're talking about the subject, which in Latin we call the nominative. Are we talking about the possessive noun adjective, which in Latin we call the genitive? Are we talking about the indirect object or the dative? Are we talking about the accusative in Latin, direct object in English? Okay. Or last but not least, are we talking about the ablative? This is the object of the preposition. And so we have Latin names for those jobs, and here's the English abbreviations. So also to really solidify these kind of pieces of information, I created I have a verb conjugation form here that I have them use when they are learning verbs. They actually write all four principal parts in here. So AMO, AMARE. They're taking all that information and putting it right in here. And then they're conjugating. And I have here how to conjugate a verb, because that's what we do to verbs. We conjugate them. It says go to the infinitive. Now the second principal part is the infinitive. Go to the infinitive, cross out the RE. So there's the RE. And you're left with the stem. Remember, Latin's all about stems and endings. So you're left with the stem. There it is. So that's AMA is the stem. I want children to learn the stem, think in stems, and think in endings, right? And then this means love. Love is for the way you look at me. Stop. Okay. So anyways, then we go write the stem 6 times. So AMA 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Write the stem 6 times and add our personal endings. Our what? Personal endings. What are they? OST, mus, tis, So go ahead and write that in. OST, mus, tis, and nt. And so then you're going to write the English on either side. And then what does O mean in Latin? Well, O means I. Okay. What does AMA mean? Well, AMA means love. I love Latin. Okay. And then what does S mean? Well, S means you. Okay. What does AMA mean? Love. Okay. You love Latin. Okay. T, what does T mean? Well, T means he, or it could mean she, or it. And he loves. He loves. Okay. Moose. What does moose mean? What does it say? We. Okay, so we're going to put that here. And AMA means love. What does tis mean? Well, let's see. Tis means you all. Y'all. Y'all. You all. AMA means love. And last but not least, nt means they. So they and then AMA means love. Now, you can see up here we have some helping verbs. On my sheet, they're orange. Am, is, are, do, does. So they're written there because there's many different ways to translate these. We can translate it in I love, I am loving, I do love. Am is a progressive and do is emphatic. I do love Latin. Okay? So do and does are emphatic. S is you love, you are loving, you do love. T is he loves, he is loving, he does love. Can you see that? And then moose means we are loving, we do love. Tis means you love, you all are loving, you all do love. And nt means they love, they are loving, they do love. Okay, that is what we do with verbs. That is what we do. That's how we conjugate a verb. And then we also decline all our nouns using a noun declension sheet. And here I have already declined a noun. I took the nominative and the genitive, found right here the nominative and the genitive, and I put it at the top. So this is the Latin Primer B book. I just whipped that out. This is the next book after A. And causa, causae is the vocabulary word in there. It's first declension. It ends in a and I. And so what I did was I put the nominative, which is the first word, the subject, and the second word, causae. I put it there. As you progress in the book, you see the pattern, and they just put the ending. But when you first begin in Latin, they write out the entire stem. I appreciate that because if the child hasn't learned the pattern, they're wondering, what does that AE mean? And so I like it written out. So anyways, I declined this. I put the nominative and the genitive there. It says go to the genitive. That's the second one. Cross out the genitive ending. So that would be the AE, just cross it out. And you are left with the stem. What did I say Latin was all about? Stems and endings. Okay, so you're going to write the stem 10 times. So you're going to write C-A-U-S, which means cause, 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you're going to add your noun case endings. Well, here they are. Is, us, is. That's classical conversation. Use the tune to Bingo was his name. Oh. You can take any melody. I, is, us, is. Or no, I, is, us, is. Any little nursery rhyme, whatever works, right? Or just chant it. I, is, us, is. Anyways, I put those in, and I colored my endings because I want them to learn the endings and separate them from the stem. Okay? And then I did my English. What does cause mean? It means cause. What about the next case, the genitive, which is the possessive? This is the subject noun. This is the possessive noun adjective. Right? It means of the cause. Or there is another option. It could be the causes, right? Apostrophe S shows possession. The dative is the indirect object, and that is translated either to the cause or for the cause. The accusative, that's your direct object, and that is the same translation as the subject, the cause. There is no translation for article adjectives, so you insert them so they can make sense where they're needed. And last but not least, the ablative, which is the object of the preposition, and you can say by the cause, with the cause, or from the cause. This is the plural side. Causes, of the causes, to or for the causes, by, with, from the causes. So there you go. That is a little short clip, probably not short now, but an explanation of really what you learn in beginning Latin. You learn how to conjugate a verb in 3 tenses, and you learn how to decline a noun. Also second declension and second neuter, but that's how I do it. So I hope that was helpful, and join me. Check out my videos, check out my website, and give me a call. Bye.